All right, so yeah. So today is day 2, and today we are going to dive into actual Webflow stuff. But before I go on, I want to ask, I hope we are close to our laptops, like so that we can be doing practical stuff, everyone. Because maybe Cynthia, I don't know, I heard some sound, maybe you're not at home or something. So how would that play out now? If you're not live with your laptop, you can signify. Let's know let's see how we can help out, or how soon can you get close to your laptop. If we are all close to our laptop, fine. That's great, because I want, as I'm doing, you are also doing, so that if you get into any issue at all, you can always call my attention and can just okay. Oh, okay, great. So I guess maybe everyone is on their laptop. Good, because I'm just going to share my screen now, and we are going to dive into actual stuff for today. All right, so I was able to, meet Toyin Daniel. Hello, Toyin, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. Fine, thank you.
Good. Are you home? Are you with your laptop? Like, are you on your laptop?
Yes, I'm on my laptop at home.
Okay, good. So yesterday I was able to get the website, the logo website that Ekene did. I was able to get my hands on the Figma file. So this is it. This is the page. This is the prototype. So he's scrolling, look at everything, but he did some interactions with these lights here and these lights. They were just moving here and there, and these things here were just like moving, to and fro, and also the logos here were like, moving to the right, to the left, and all of this, and these things here were moving, and these project members, all these guys were moving, and even here too was moving. And I think he did something around this whole thing, moving, all of that. Also, if you hover on these things, you will see how it's jumping and, it's scaling. So we have the blog. So when you click on the blog, it takes you to the blog page and all of that, or the inner blog page and testimonial section. This is it. We have this pricing here. We have the monthly, and we have the yearly, annually, and pricing, yeah. Then the FAQ, when you click, it drops down and all of that. And we have this, the CTA, and we have the footer. So this is it. So this is what we're going to be working with, yeah. And this is the design, actual design. I think I shared it on the group. So we may want to also follow along, please. It's very important. This is hands-on practical, right? So as I do, you also do, right? So before we do that, we're going to dive into Webflow and see how it looks like. This is Wizard. So this is Webflow. I'm just going to, let's assume it's a brand new project, all right? We're going to assume it's a brand new project. And I want to be able to sign in with my email. Okay, let's do that. I'll just click on sign in with email, or sign up. If you're new to it, you click on sign up, and you can have access to, fill in the form and create a new account. So if you are already signed in, you will see something like this. You would see if you don't have any projects there, it will just be blank. This is like the developers portal, where you would see all your projects and all of that stuff. Now let's just go look at the interface and how it is. So I'll try to let me delete this one so that we can have something to play around with. For those of you that are quite new to Webflow, I'm just going to do this part for your sake. Okay, try to archive this. Confirm by typing this, which I did, but it's not allowing me. Delete form FOR. Okay, great. So I'm just going to delete that so that we can have space. Now, this is how it looks like. On the top here, you have the dashboard, the marketplace. This marketplace has an overview, libraries, apps, hire an expert, templates made in Webflow. Now, these are just links to other parts of Webflow. Okay, give me a second. Let me accept I need to sing. All right, so like I was saying earlier, this is just other parts. If you click on overview, it will just take you to an overview page. This like an overview of everything, but we don't really care about all of this. Now I'm gonna go back and we have here learn. If you want to go after this whole practical session and you think you're solid, I would suggest that you come to this learn and you should get certified. All right, after learning from here practical stuff, you want to get your certification, so you want to come to learn and still go through their exams, or more like just go through the course for the certification sake, so that you can get certified, because getting the certification puts you, stands you out. You can share certificates and people, you get to understand the theoretical part and also the practical part too, and all of that. So there are different categories. There is the Webflow 101, there's the CMS certification, layout certification, layout certification level 2, and there's also the expert certification. After you've done these 4, there's also another part that, for experts, that you're going to also write as well. So yeah, that is that about it. Resources is just community, ebooks, forum, blogs. Their blog site is very interesting because they just have lots of things about Webflow updates and all of that. So I like how they built this blog. Really, really fancy. I like it. It's something that you can do also in Webflow and all of that. So yeah. So if you want to see the interface, you're going to click on new sites, for instance, and you're going to see all of this blank and starter. So I'm just going to click on this blank site, and we're just going to call it anything you want to call it, any name depending on the project. Let's just say mentorship, for the sake of mentorship website, something, whatever. So you're going to click on create site, and it takes you to the interface. Yeah, so this is the interface. This is it, blank. So this is your interface. You just have the body here, and to the left, all of these things here to the left are your should I say tools that you're going to be using. So we have the add panel, we have the pages. If you want to view all the pages, the home page, about us page, this is where you see them. So if I say go to your about us page, how you're going to do, you're going to come here and click on these pages, and you'll see all your pages here listed. And here is your navigator. If you want to see all your classes, how they have been arranged is here. You come to, and here is components. You can create components so that you can reuse them in other pages as well. And here is variables. We have here style selectors. We have here the assets. This is where you put all your images and everything, icons, images, all your assets basically. This is the CMS. This is where you create CMS. The CMS is like a database of where you upload content. Just see CMS as database. All right, so this is it. This is where you create it. You come here and you click on create new collection and all of that. So we have the users. Don't worry about these other ones for now, logic, all of that. So this is very important, the add. So you come to add. You can add a section, a container, quick stack, vflex, hflex, div block, list item, link block, button. Under typography, we have the heading, paragraph, link, text, quote, block quotes, rich text. And we have the CMS collection list. Under the media, we have the image, video, YouTube, Lottie, animation, spline, scene. Under the forms, we have the form block, label, inputs, file uploads, text area, checkbox, all of that stuff. The advanced stuff, we have the search, background video, drop down, embed, lightbox, and lots of stuff. Other stuff are grids and columns. So that's where you can add stuff. Let's say you want to add a paragraph. You just come here to paragraph and you click, boom, we have added a paragraph easily. The paragraph is running from left to right. That's it. If you want to add a button, you come here, plus, and button is here. Boom, we have added a button. That's simple. These are the basic stuff. Now, to the left are all of this, while to the right is the style. The style basically is like the CSS. Now you see this part. This part is the HTML. All of these are elements. All right. All of these are physical elements. If I want to put a div block, boom, we've added a div block. A div block is like an empty box, just an empty box. You see here, div block, section, container, quick stack, vflex, hflex. All of these things are just empty blocks. Empty box, sorry. Just see it as an empty box that you can style how you want it. Now, inside of this div block, like I said, it's an empty box. You can put in your button inside. You can put in anything inside. Now, it is called arranging of elements. You can arrange your elements, stack them inside a div block. You can stack your elements inside a div block. All right. So if I want to put this paragraph inside of this div block, now mind you, look here, we are on this navigator. That's why we are seeing all of these arrangements. This is the body, the entire body. We now have the paragraph inside of the body. We now have the button. We now have the div block. So I want to put this paragraph inside the div block. Two ways I can do it. Number one, it's either I drag my paragraph inside like this. See, I'm holding my mouse and I'm dragging. Then I drag it inside of the div block like this. Now, the moment you see an arrow and the div block is having an arrow, allowing elements to be inside of it, then you leave your elements paragraph. Now notice the div block, the paragraph is inside the div block. How do you know? Because of this arrow here. It's saying this div block is now the parent to this paragraph. This div block is now the parent to this paragraph. You see this arrow sign. So if you collapse this, you see how it collapses the paragraph. Or the expand, it's visible like this. So this is the parent. Now the paragraph is inside. If you want to put your button inside as well, drag the button inside too. We now have this div block housing both the paragraph and the button. See, boom, that's it. These are like the basic things. And now this right hand side is the CSS. So these are all HTML elements, and to the right hand side, CSS. What is CSS basically? CSS is you styling the HTML. Styling your HTML. If you want to make your stuff, if you want to style your website, if you want to add colors, if you want to add size, if you want to give it this shape or that shape, you want to make it look beautiful. This is the CSS part. I'm just doing this rundown for beginners, absolute beginners, so at least they get familiar with one or two things, So yeah, this is the styling part. Let's say this div block, it is always good. It is good. It's a good thing to always give your elements class name. Always name your elements. This div block, let's just call it a wrapper, something that wraps. So always give your elements a class name. Now we've given it a class name of wrapper. Now after which I can now choose to do whatever I want to do. If I say I do not want this wrapper to have a width from edge to edge, I want to make it have a defined width, I can come here and say, okay, the size of that div block, as I call it wrapper here, notice how the name changed to wrapper here as well. Now I want to give it a width of 500 pixel. I'll just type 500 px. See, it is no longer from edge to edge. It is now from here to here. See, 500 pixel. Now you say, okay, you want the background to be a blue color. All I will do, I'll just scroll down to background and image and gradients. I'll come to this color and I'll say, okay, I want to change the color to maybe not red, maybe something along this line, just whatever color. something along this line, I would say. See, the background of the wrapper, which is the div block, is now this color. See, that's simple. Now, if we say, okay, we want to add padding. Padding is the space inside of the div block. Because of the elements, look at how the elements is touching all the edges of the wrapper. We do not want that. We want to add padding. Now, padding, this is where we're going to come to. We have padding here. This other one's outside is called margin. But the one inside, the space inside of your element is called padding. So you can click on this number and say, okay, let's add 40 to the left. Boom. See, we've added 40 pixels to the left. So our element is no longer touching the edge. Now let's add padding 40 to the top. 40 to the top. Boom. Our elements they are no longer touching the top. Let's add 40 to the bottom. Boom. 40. See, we now have these 40 elements no longer touching the bottom. So let's add 40 to the right. We've added 40 to the right. Boom. Element is no longer touching. So we now have 40 all around. So you see the element is just well placed. Now if you want to preview what you've done, you can click on this play button here to preview. This is how it's going to look like on an actual, if it goes live, it's going to look like this. So this is what we've built, so far. So we are just experimenting, testing out different elements, seeing how the properties or the CSS work. Now, yeah, if you open this, you're going to see those two elements. So far, for extreme beginners, do you have any question at this point? Question or anything whatsoever? This is the best time to speak if you think you have any question, or let's forge ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So, the canvas size, is it always fixed? Yours is 1,220, but on mine it's showing 1,164. So I don't know, is it fixed or does it change based on individual computer?
Yeah, that's a very solid question. Yeah, it is fixed. It depends on your screen. Where I'm using an external monitor, so it will calculate your screen size, but then you can add screens. And yeah, let's talk about that part. Now, if you look at this part here, you'll see desktop, tablets, mobile landscape, mobile portraits. Now, these are all the possible screen size someone can ever use. Now, if you want to add a bigger breakpoint, you click on here and you can see other breakpoints, larger breakpoints, 1280, 1440, 1920. These are all the possible big breakpoints you get. But if I'm working on a project, I try to not even include breakpoints because I have a big screen already. I have a monitor already, so I try to not include anyone. And mind you, it works with your default screen size. If you're using just a normal laptop, it may not be 1220. It may be like sometimes you can see that 990 pixel. But then you can also adjust it from here. See. So, but my own maximum is 1220. So yours is around 1,000, like this. Maybe yours is like this. There's nothing wrong with it.
164.
Yeah, exactly. So it still fall under the category of the desktop. There is nothing wrong with it. And something you should know, please, if you are working on a website in Webflow, make sure you are on this base breakpoint. It's very important, because if you read, desktop styles apply at all breakpoints unless they are declared at a larger or smaller breakpoint. Start your styling here. Because anything you do on desktop will touch tablets, mobile, and mobile. Anything you do here will affect everybody. But anything you do on tablets will only affect mobile and mobile. It will not affect desktop. So if by mistake you are editing here, or you are, let's say for instance, this button, you want to change it from this blue to something like a black color, something like this. You see, I did it on tablets. It can only change on mobile, but on my desktop, we still have this blue. Now, if you add a bigger breakpoint, for instance, 1280, and you now mistakenly, it has happened to me several times. several times I would mistakenly be editing on larger breakpoints, and everything that I will do will not reflect on any way. It will not reflect on this base breakpoint, neither will it reflect across all this other screen. I will now have to come to this big base breakpoint and start again, start doing everything I've done on that 1280 or whatever, which is very frustrating. So always make sure, always be at alert to know that you are on this base breakpoint, because that's the only way it will touch everybody. That's the only way it will touch everybody. Now my tablet has this color, which is weird. Now so that's just that about it. So what else? Who has a question at this point? So yeah, all of these are CSS. There are so many things to do when it comes to, CSS styling and all of that. So yes, so this is the project. This is the landing page. Now I'm going to introduce a strategy that I always use to build websites. I'm going to introduce a strategy. That strategy is known as client first. All right. So you guys have to have an open mind to this. You guys will have to have an open mind to this. Okay. Wait a second. Check my WhatsApp. I reply so. So yeah, I'm going to introduce to us something known as client first. Now, client first, what is that? Client first is a strategy that I use to build every website. Client first is a strategy that I use to build every website. All right. Keyword is every. For every website I want to build, I use client first. So we are on this third part now, which is like client first is like a style guide. It is called client first. This is the name, client first. It's like a style guide. Most of us here are what's it called? Most of us here are designers. So, and I'm sure we, as designers, we know what a style guide is. A style guide is like a guide that helps you build your designs faster, easier, and even better. Now, we're going to build this homepage, this entire homepage, using that client first, having that client first in mind. We're going to build it with client first. Now, let's jump right into it because it's practical. Now, let's just type. Now, the first thing I do, let's assume this is a project. A client gave me this project to build. Now, this is the first thing I'm going to do because it's practical. I'm going to have a look at it like this. I'm looking at it now. And I am going to run down everything in my head. I'll look at it and be like, okay, this is just, this is just my heading one, H1, this is our paragraph text, this is a button, this is an image, then we have this background thing going on. Then I'll just, have a look at it, both from a design perspective and from development perspective. Is it something that you can do? Because everything is possible when it comes to Webflow, but you as the developer, is it something that your experience and capacity can carry? These are the questions. Is it possible to do? Yes. Is it possible? Is it something you can do? It can be something another person can do, but it's something you can do. It could be a yes, it could be a no, depending on your experience and your capacity, So I have to look at it and most likely play the prototype like this so that I will have an idea if there is any interaction or whatsoever. Or the client can say, okay, the website is blank without any animation, but he will use mouth and tell me that look at what he wants on this place. He wants the logo to be moving. I will note it down. Have your paper and your pen. And he will say, okay, this part too, he wants this place to be moving. I will say, all right, let's be going. He will say this place too, he wants it to be moving. In my head, I'm calculating, okay, how is that going to work? How is that going to play out? And he'll say, oh, he wants something to be happening here, all of that. I'll be like, okay, maybe let's make it more interesting. You guys will remind me in the future. Maybe when we scroll up to this our team, news from our team, we want the entire background to change to black and the text change to white. Let's make it that interesting. I may forget. That's when we start doing animation, that's when I would do that. But let me show you what I mean. Let me show you guys what I mean. There's a project I'm currently working on. This one. Let me show you guys what I mean. See how as I'm scrolling, background changes to black. See, and the text changes to white, and it changes to white again. It goes back to white again. So yeah, so you see that. Let's try to say, okay, that's what the client wants. When it gets to our team, everything changed to black or blue, and the text changed to white. That kind of vibe. So I'll be like, okay, it's something. So just play it in your head and just agree and understand that you can do this thing. So yeah. Give me a second, guys. I'm sharing. Baby, use my big phone here. Make me use that phone. Make me video.
Okay.
Just make me video. Just video me. No, my big phone there. Use my smartphone. Okay. I just like 1 minute max. Take as I'm talking. Just make a very nice video, clear video.
But it doesn't have to be like now.
Yes, it doesn't have to be now. Yeah. Okay. Did I stop? Screen sharing. Okay, great. So yep. So yeah. All right. So this is it. So now after looking at the websites like that, what I will do next. This is what I will do next. This is how I would handle it. I'm going to type clients first. Client first. Now we're going to talk about what client first is at this point. I'll hit enter. I just Google client first. Now you're going to see here client first style system for Webflow by FinSuite. So this company known as FinSuite created client first for developers like us to use. Like I said, it is like a style guide, because if you are building on Webflow without a particular style or without a particular strategy or without a particular process, it can be frustrating, because you have to worry about how are you going to rename this class, what name are you going to use, how are you going to, it can be a lot. If you are doing anything safe without a process or a defined system, let's use a system, not even just Webflow, anything in life without a defined system, it gets frustrating. So see client first as a system. Learning Webflow is one thing. Understanding your system of building is another thing. This is where client first comes in for me. So because this is a hands-on practical, we are going to touch both client first and Webflow. So as I'm doing it, you are watching and you're doing it. So you may not understand what client first mean immediately, but this is a good start. It's better you have your head, get used to client first now. It's better you get used to it now, so that in a month from now, 2 months from now, nobody ever told me about this. So when I started doing Webflow, it was frustrating because my build inside of my Webflow, my navigator, this part was a mess. It was disorganized. You will see the fine website though. You will see it very fine here. But how I came about that fine site, it was a chaos. Here was just rubbish. The block 58, paragraph 92, heading 105, chaos. It's just like product designers, and renaming and not renaming your frame or your rectangle or whatever, or your shapes or your frame. Let's say your frame, and you see how chaotic it is. Frame 1058, frame this one. If you do not have a system, it can be frustrating. So just see it as that too with Webflow. See Webflow as design or Figma, but more advanced and for development. They have almost similar values. So if you have that mindset, you won't have much problem. So I'm going to come here and say, okay, client first, and I'm going to click on this client first. Boom. Now we're going to talk about everything about this page. So this is client first landing page. See, built in Webflow, obviously, and see all the interactions. I think they've changed their website. They always change this landing page. This one is looking very sleek. Now they have a version 2.1. They've updated the style or the system. Now I have not updated my brain on this their version 2.1, but because I already know client first, for me to know what they change or the new updates, it's just be small updates. It's like, for instance, it's like using Microsoft Word or Photoshop. Hey, let's say Photoshop. I used to do Photoshop before, and if I'm using Photoshop CC 2018, for instance, and I want to upgrade to CC 2019, there will be no much difference between 2018 and 2019. Why? Because I already know Photoshop CC. I already know Photoshop in general. If they like, let them bring CC 2024. As long as you know CC 2015, you can still operate CC 2024. The difference won't be that much. So that is exactly what I'm saying. Now they've made some few changes to the version, and let me copy the link from here and paste on the group here for whoever needs it. Please, at any point you have a question, ask. At any point you have a question, ask. So this is my step by step. I'm going to clone this, so you don't have to stress too much. Just know that if this guy wants to build any website, after he has checked the website with the client or by himself, and he knows that this thing he can do it, the next thing this boy will do is he will go and clone client first by FinSuite. FinSuite is the name of the company that builds a system or a style guide that he's going to use to now build that website. Hope it's straightforward. It's very straightforward, right? Good. Let's assume that's a yes. Nice. All right, so yeah, that's the first thing I want to do. Now I'm not even in Webflow. I'm in client first websites. Now let's just have a look at the websites. They've changed their websites, which I like. Challenges in Webflow. Good. This is why they built client first for people like me and you people. How do I name classes? Because class naming is a problem. It's good that you are starting your orientation with client first. I did not, and I know how chaotic it was for me. I wanted to almost give up. I'm like, oh, this thing is frustrating my life. So questions like, how do I name classes? And if you click, I don't know why it's taking me down. I was thinking something will just open here, but yeah, it says folders, view, structure, all of that. So these are like the major problems you normally face if you're not using client first. How do I organize a project? You click, it takes you to the organization parts. Organize your project, easy to find classes through the project, multi-level folder, flexible spacing system. How do I maintain unity across all pages? How do I deliver a project to my clients? Okay, a project my clients love. So these are like the things or their selling points. Unify a project, unify a build strategy as a team, blah blah blah. So this is also another thing. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to rush it at all. This is another part from that link. I'll need you guys to go get used to. The most important topics to cover with client first: quick guide, intro, Unity classes, typography, full documentation, learn with live builds and clonables. When we are done with this particular project, you can come here and watch and learn live builds also, and clonables. But I don't think you have to that much like that. Once you understand how client first work, the basics of client first, little by little, it will make sense. Little by little, it's a strategy and it has a learning curve. It's not something you just learn today and say, yeah, it's good that you've heard the name client first. Good. Now it is also better that you start because I feel client first is more, learning client first is, for to me, is more important than learning the tool. Even on Figma myself, creating design systems, I think is more important than learning the tool. Learning how to use the pen tool or learning how to add frame. I think learning how to create design systems or create amazing user experience is more important than the tool. So same for this Webflow. The tool is just Webflow. It's not that hard to learn the tool, but nothing is hard. So even this climate is not hard. It's just understanding what it is, how you can take advantage of it, how you can think creatively to solve, how you can solve problem. Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna dive into it. So I think they did it. Check version 2.1. This is a video, but I'm gonna check that out later for myself. Read the docs. Now I click on read the docs. So this docs is quite important for you guys. Okay. Someone has a question. Okay. So yeah. So you see this docs. This is the documentation for everything you need to know about client first, getting started, learning parts, recommended client first, learning parts. Are you new to Webflow? Before learning blah blah blah. So I'm just showing you guys this part so that you can dive into it. It's not that deep. Trust me, it's not that deep at all. Just understand what it is. Intro to client first, classes, strategy, core structure, strategy, sizes and rems, because client first uses rems. They don't use pixels. They use rems for their size. Day 2, you can just do a 7-day challenge for yourself. Day 1, you want to digest all of this. Day 2, you want to digest all of this. Day 3, you want to digest all of this. If you do this, like if you use your heart and your mind and do this thing I'm saying now, trust me, you would see in no time you can be able to follow, you can be able to grab this thing. It's just say, okay, 7 days challenge. Day 4, you have covered this one. Day 5, this. Day 6 and day 7. But you may want to pay attention to day 1, day 2, and day 3. You understand? Those 3 safe, you do okay. I don't think all these other ones is just shallow they are doing. For instance, this day 1 now, this core structure is very important. If you click on it, you're going to see the things that you need to do. The building block. It's like you're building a house. Let me create an instance. It's like you're building a house. This client first is like the foundation. You have to dig around and do a solid foundation before you start designing the type of house you want to build. The structure, 5-bedroom, you have to have a very solid foundation. So this core structure is like setting the foundation for how the website will look like. You need to set some things in place for every section you build. Like this website now, for instance, for every section, this is the hero section. Before this hero section became this beautiful, there was something that was done. There was a foundation that has been laid. That foundation has been done already, has been set. Even before you start talking about styling, making it black background, giving this thing like making this, adding this shadow. Before you talk about that part, you have to create the foundation. After this section, we move on to the next section. Let's say this section. With every section you want to start, you have to redo that foundation. Every section you want to build, you're going to see practical example when we start. Every section, this section, you repeat that same foundational thing. So this core structure is telling you, hey, core structure is a set of classes and principles to create a strong base. See this keyword, strong base of HTML around our page content. So it is the foundation that you need to repeat for every time you want to do a new section. All right, that's that about that. It says here, small site to big site to beginner site to advanced sites can use the same structure. Do not take these words lightly. So like I said earlier, for every website I want to do, even if it's a single landing page, I clone client first. I use it. Why? It makes my life easier. It makes my work faster. It makes responsiveness easy. In fact, it's just a God-sent strategy. All you need to do is to pay attention to how it works, understand the strategy, solidly understand the strategy. And I think it's an assignment. The resources are here already. Understand it. It may not make sense immediately, but if before we finish this landing page that we're going to do, every website you want to build, you will just rush to come and clone client first, because you will see how beautiful it is. Client first users will know a client's website's core structure immediately. Like for me, if I check any website, like this one for instance, if I just do like this and come to inspect, because I'm a client first user, if I inspect another website, I will know that, oh, this website was built with client first. 2 seconds. If I just do inspect and I just come here, once I see the foundation, then I'll just go and look at the foundation. I'll come here and see, okay, this person did page wrapper. This is the navbar component. No, let's okay, and this is the section here. Section hero. See? Section hero as the hero section. Then this is the foundation. Padding global. Might be mindful of these keywords I'm using. Class. After section hero, padding global. After padding global, container large. After container large, padding section large. After padding section large, then other things follow. Then the hero component, class hero component. After hero component, every other thing follows. So this right here is like the foundation. See this padding global, container large, padding section large. They are like the foundation that I was talking about. So if I come here and look at this guy's website or this website, I'll be like, oh, this guy is a client first developer, not just a Webflow developer. See, I can understand that, okay, this guy did a very solid job here. And you see how arranged everything is. Everything is just section, all the different sections of this landing page. We have section latest teaching, which is this section here, latest teaching. We have section latest books, which is this section, latest book. You say going through it will be easier for you to dissect and be like, oh, section upcoming events means this section upcoming event. And for every section, it still follows that principle of foundation. Because if I open this section, upcoming events, if I collapse it, if I expand it, I will collapse anyone. You will see that foundation, padding global. If you open padding global, what are you going to see? Container large. If you open container large, padding section large. If you open padding section large, you see latest book components. So the components, open it, you will now see all the whole bubble here and the whole styling that makes up this beautiful section. But then there is always the structure, the foundation. Same goes for every other page that you see. Do we have any question at this point? So I'm trying to make sure I hit the nail on the head as regards to this client first. I want you guys to accept it as part of you. From today henceforth, I'm moving on. I want you guys to be obsessed with it. Know what it is. Carry on for head. Start consuming. You don't have to overwhelm yourself. Just know that, okay, it's a strategy or a style guide for you to make your life easy. See it like that. Any question at this point? All right. Toy Daniels.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to ask, can you send the link to that 7-day strategy?
Okay. The link is this one. Let's go back here. Okay, let me just.
So you're saying now that this is the first thing we should study before we even give time.
This is very important. This is very important.
Okay.
This is very important. So I'm going to paste it here on the group. This is very important. If you can just do a 7 days thing for yourself. It can be a 1 week thing. It mustn't be a 7. It can be just as fast as possible. It can be a 1 day, 2 days. Even 7 days is far-fetched. It's just the documentation, the docs of understanding what it is. You know, it doesn't have to until you may just be looking at it all text and write up until you start practicing with it. That's going to make sense. All this class strategy. But as we start to build, I'll always refer back to see, all of that. So yeah. So what I want to do as a developer, I will come here to this blue part and say get the clonable. Get the clonable. It is with the clonable I'm going to build from. I'm not going to go to Webflow. I'm not going to go to Webflow and say create a blank canvas. Nope. Let me even delete this thing. Let me delete it. This is not what I will do first. What I will do first, I will go to client first and get the clonable, and I'll clone the style guide. That's the first thing I'll do. So I am on Webflow. Because I am signed into a Webflow account, just don't bother again. Just come to Webflow client first website. You can even get the clonable from the landing page. You mustn't come to this side. You always see it at the top right. If I click it, it's going to load the clonable. Okay, so it's loaded the clonable. I wonder why this is taking time. It should be. Alright, so this is what we're going to see. Whoa, these guys have really changed a lot of things. They have changed a lot of things. See, 26,000 people. 26,000 people have, sorry, what am I even saying? 49,000 people have cloned this thing. 49,000 people have cloned this thing. So you can imagine, because why I'm saying this, most agencies are looking for client-first developers, not just a Webflow developer, because it's a strategy that works. So they're looking for a client-first or Relume developers. Let me show you guys a typical example, because I think I'm in a Slack channel, and you can see there's a Relume community here. If you go to the job sections, you see, hey, we are looking for Webflow developer to join, blah 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 blah, and you will always see the requirements. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. You always see jobs, Webflow developers, Relume. They will always tell you Relume. This Relume uses client first. Relume is like a component, that one is story for another day. I'm trying to show you guys like a typical example, something you see every time. I'm looking for a Figma and Relume designer. See, this Relume designer is a Webflow guy, but having the idea of client first or Relume. Hi Relume, blah 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 blah. You see it most of the time, Relume, client first. You always see it as part of the, what is it called? The criteria, something like that. So you see, fluent in the full Relume flow and client first, willing to plug in, blah blah blah. You always see we are looking for a designer who's an expert in Figma, Relume plus client first, Webflow to help, blah blah blah. So you see developers with Relume and client first expertise. So you see, this is a serious business. It's no joke. It's no joke at all. So we at and we use client first and Relume, blah blah blah. So it's a big deal. Like it's an actual thing worth your time. It's worth learning. It's worth learning, and it just stands you out because it's very solid. It's very solid. So any question at this point again? Am I having whispering? Any question? Anyone? All right. Okay, my guy is late. Let's start with you, Onyedikachi.
Yeah, I just saw Tunji's question. I have the same question as Tunji. Relume and Fin Suite can they be used interchangeably, or what's Relume, and at what point, if we were to use it, at what point would you say, oh, you need to use Relume for this or for that?
Okay, great question. Relume, let me give you a typical example of what Relume is. Webflow is a tool. Now, as a Webflow developer, for instance myself, I have so many challenges. Other companies will study Webflow and build solutions around it for developers like myself to use. That's how they make money. Without Webflow, there will be most of other companies like Relume or FinSuite. Now, FinSuite saw Webflow and they were like, I know developers will have problems with structure and how they build. I know Webflow developer. Let us create a styling system to help developers not stress too much about organization and all of that. So they came up with Client First. So FinSuite is the company that owns Client First as the product. They also own another product known as Attributes. Attributes are functionalities, JavaScript functionalities that you can embed in your Webflow site. So this is FinSuite taking advantage of Webflow and building things to help developers like myself. Now, Relume is also a company, and they sat back and say, let us create a system, or let us create a product that will help developers like myself build faster. What they did was they now build components that will make my work easier. Components, for instance, like hero section. Instead of me to build this hero section from scratch, I will just go and take a component Relume has built and boom, paste it on my Webflow interface and just change the text, change the small things, and tweak it a bit to make it, instead of me to build this whole section from scratch. Imagine having to start to build this thing from scratch. I have to follow client first, I have to follow the foundation and that foundation I talked about, and have to start adding the logo one. Why not I just go to Relume and look at Relume's components and get a component that fits this section, this logo section, and just paste it on my Webflow, and boom, I don't have to build from scratch. I'll move on to the next section and be like, okay, this section, I can just go to Relume, copy the component that houses that, and paste it on my Webflow. Boom. You see? So Relume are component focused. Now, how they built their components, they used client first strategy to create all their components, so that you or myself, as I'm copying it from Relume, I am sure that this component is built with client first strategy. As I'm pasting it on my Webflow, I know it is responsive across all screen. I know it was built with the best strategy in mind, client first. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Like, do you clearly see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do.
Great. So if we come here and say Relume, for instance, boom. So if it's Relume website, yeah. So now Relume has other products too. Right now they have their own builder, their own web builder or something like that. So this is their website. It just helps you with a component and ship faster. See, I like this thing. Nice. See, helps you ship faster. It's just components, and all of that. So if you go to products, these are all their products. You can build sites, but I don't care about this. Webflow library, Figma, whatever. So this is basically its Webflow library. You click on it, it takes you to all the components that they have. Amazing components. You know, for instance, they have application shell. It depends. For instance, let's say we are looking for hero section. I'll just rush and say, okay, hero section, where are you? I'll come to marketing, navbar, hero footer, hero header. Boom. And you're going to see different kinds of hero section. See? Lovely. So I'll just look at my Figma. I'll look at my Figma and say, okay, look how it is built. Heading here, small text here, button and image. I'll come and say, okay, let us look at the one that almost look like that one. And I'll scroll. I'll say, oh, this one. Nope. You know, you can just find something. Something like this. See this one, yeah? Let's have a look at it. See, look at how it is. So it's almost giving the one we have. A big image will be here, obviously. So we have this. And if you check on the mobile responsive, you see how it's responsive. So you don't have to worry about, you know, making it responsive. So all you need to do is just, oops, let's scroll back. So you see that guy, this guy, oh sorry, maybe this guy is looking like this guy. See? Now it's easier to just copy it from here. But then if I click on copy, it's going to ask me to sign in. See, hey, you have to sign, and it's not even free. But yeah, you shall get the point. So what I do most times, if I'm building for a client and I don't want to stress it that much, or it's a very pretty straightforward website or landing page or whatever, I will just use a new email and sign up to Relume, and you know, they will give me 7 days access, you know, 7-day free trial. So they have amazing components. So in fact, it's even part of what we should talk about because it's here. Where is it? Speed build, leveraging components like Relume. See, where you leverage on component. You don't have to build some stuff from scratch. You don't have to build some components or some, you know, sections from scratch. You can just go to Relume and just freestyle also and just say, okay, my hero section, I want it to be this. You know, just copy it. So because we don't have, it's not free, but then you can access the free ones. There's how I can check, you know, and just say, hey, don't worry, just give me the free ones. Preferences, I think, I don't know. I want the free ones. They've changed their website and all of that. Okay, let's assume I am signed in. Let me log in. Let me just log in. I don't even know my password. That's the funny truth. Oops. Invalid. I know, right? What do I do now? If I want to log in, I'm trying to log in. There's no place to log in with your email or something. It was in 1 minute. See, I don't even know. I know I've logged in like 1,010,000 times, but if I have a serious project, I don't want to do just so. Yeah, that's just basically it. So, but that's not why we're here. Do you have any question at any point? Any follow-up question? So just know that Relume, they are also a company that are providing a solution for you and for me. FinSuite did client first to make life easier for you and for me as well. So we are still on FinSuite client first, I mean to say. So I will now come and say clone inside of Webflow, pending on the account that you are signed into. Now it will bring me to this page again, and this is my workspace. It will now tell me this is the clonable, clone, create site. I will now say yes, create site. I will now rename it to mentorship or whatever project you are working on. You give it the name and click on create site. Create site. Then it's going to load. It's going to load like this, and after this, clap for yourself. If you are on this stage with me, then you've done pretty well for yourself. You've done amazing. Who else is on this level? Who else is here exactly? Anyone? Or you're not following as you should? If you're on this level like myself, you should be proud of yourself at this point. Anyone, before I go on, is anyone here at this level?
Yes, I am.
Great. Who else is here on this level like this? Because it's very nice.
Yes, I am.
Nice one. I'm proud of you guys.
Yes, I am.
Nice, fresh. That's really cool. So now we're gonna take out 1 or 2 minutes to understand what is going on here. So we have cloned client first. We have cloned it. Now this is the navigator, which is this thing here, like I said earlier. And client first has a way of life. Client first has a way of life, which is it follows a defined structure, like I always say. In fact, once you get conversant with the way of life of client first, it's a game changer. You know, if you see it anywhere, you know that this website is client first. You know, you can just tell. So now, the body is the body. The body is the Oga Pata General Overseer, the everything where everything is inside. After the body, there is something known as page wrapper. This page wrapper is not doing anything. They just put an empty div block and they just call it page wrapper. Now, the job of this page wrapper is to do nothing. It's just there. It has no styling. See? It has no display, it has no size, it has no width, it has nothing, which is a good thing. I will tell you the importance of this page wrapper later. After this page wrapper, forget about these global styles. It comes with client first. Don't worry yourself about it. Now there is also another div block. All these things, once you see a square, know that it's a div block. What did I say is a div block? An empty box without any styling. It's just an empty box that they call one fancy name. They call it main wrapper. Now, inside this main wrapper is where all your sections will be. It's where all your sections will be. See? It's where all our sections will be. Section hero, section logo, section about, section whatever. You know how a page is built. Hero section, logo section, this section. So just section hero, section logo, section about company, section, whatever section. Just be naming it like that. Now, the goal of client first is to help with better naming structure. One of the goals of client first, like I used to say before client first, if you see my navigator, how weirdly I used to name things and how frustrating. If anybody look at it, they'll say, this one is a learner. Hey, this one doesn't know what he's doing. Because all of these things, how you arrange your websites tells a lot about you, how organized you are. It also helps with SEO. Let me not lie. It helps. Because if you do not, because normally a web page is supposed to have just one H1. A web page, a single page, a landing page is supposed to have just one H1 only for SEO purposes. In case Google crawler are crawling your website, they want to be able to understand your website. They want to say, okay, this is the H1, this is the H2, this is the hero section, this is the logo section. How will they know if you don't have a better structure? How will they know? They can only know from how you build your websites. So this is where all these companies are trying to help you solve problems. So please do not take it lightly. Body it, understand it, read it. As we are following now, follow up. If you have any question, ask. It may not make sense to you immediately, but follow up. They even changed their logo. Hey, these people are vexing. Before it wasn't like that at all. But that's by the way. So inside of main wrapper, we have inside of it section hero. Section what? Hero. Now, we call it section hero. There is a display, all of this styling here. Minimum 100 SPH. There's lots of styling and color. Background color is black. See where this black background is coming from, yeah? This section hero, they give it black. If I want to make it white, see, I can just come and change it to whatever I want. I can style it how I want because it is mine now. I have access to it. I can do whatever I want because I was able to clone it, and I'm going to mess around with it. But I don't want to do that. Now inside of the main, there's this nav fixed. So our fixed nav bar. So yeah. Now let us more particular about this section hero. If you open it, you're going to see the core structure, the foundation I was talking about. Section hero is there. Padding global is there. Now, part of what they changed, they updated their style guide. Before, after section hero, it used to be padding global and container large, then padding section large. But right now, they combined padding global and padding section large together in one. What that means, they carry the properties of padding section large and they now added it to padding global. Because before, let me show you an example with this website again. Let's go to inspect. Because of they are trying to not make things complicated, they're trying to not make things too plenty. They're trying to go as low-key and as minimalist and as simple as possible. Before, it used to be like this. This is the hero section, page wrapper. Let me show you something here. Okay, section hero. Before it used to be section hero. That's the hero section, yeah? Section hero. After which, padding global. After which, container large. After which, padding section large. See, so the foundation is like 1, 2, 3, 4 things, 4 steps you have to go. You have to go 4 steps. You have to create 4 steps. It's like doing your foundation in your house that you are building. You have to do 4 things. If you know you want your house to stand strong, you have to do these 4 things, a must for every section. Just see it as a ritual. If you know you want your house to be strong, you have to do the foundation like this. Use this kind of block. Use this kind of sand. Use this kind of cement. It has to be mixed in this type of way. If you do it like this, then your house will stand gidigba. That is what this means. You always have to say section, after section, padding global, container large, padding section large. All these have what they do. It's not just name, it's not just can talk, it's name. These names have different styling. They have what they are doing to your website. Your own is just to understand what each of these name means. Understand what it does to your website, which I'm going to try to explain and break down. And the good thing is, the properties are already set for you. The properties, whatever padding global is, the properties or the style has already been created for you by client first. It's somewhere. Your own is just to know what time you're supposed to use padding global. Just call it for wherever it is. Know when to call container large. Whatever it is doing has been set up somewhere, especially for you. You can edit it, you can go and touch it. Let's say, for instance, container large, the work is to, let's say container large, the properties is 70 pixels, for instance. And you don't like 70 pixels, you want it to be 80 pixels. You have the flexibility to go to where container large is and change it from 70 to 80. You can do that. So you see, before it used to be 4 steps, but right now, part of what was edited or part of the updates they made, which is client first. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know when they did the meeting, but they did a meeting and they said, maybe like say we need to cut down on this plenty English, because it's just English they are speaking. Now, after section hero, padding global, what they now did as part of the update, from what I'm seeing, they now combined padding global and padding section large because it was unnecessary to say section, padding global, container large, padding section large. It was just like, come on, it was so necessary. So they now said, okay, why not we just combine two styles? Let's combine two systems into one, so that people will not have to like do that, that process every, I don't know why, but yeah. So see, that's what they did. So now we have the styling for both padding section large and padding global in one. 8 rem, 8 rem, padding 8 rem top, padding 8 rem bottom. It used to be the properties for only padding section large. And padding global, the properties used to be 2.5 to the left, 2.5 to the right. Only that used to be the properties for padding global, but it was now combined with 2. So we have the main one as padding global and a combo class. What this means is padding global and a combo class, a combo name. So joining two classes together means the main class and a combo class. After that, we no longer have padding section large separately. We will now move on to container large, which all the styling has been set up in the style guide. It is not you that is giving it all this width and all this maximum width. It's not you. It has been done already. The price has been paid. But like I said, now this container large, the job, listen carefully. The job of this container large is to limit the website, the content of the website, to a container of 80 rem maximum. 80 rem. 80 rem is like 1,200 pixels. So let's say this is our website. You guys can see me, Abby. Can you guys see me and how I'm demonstrating?
Yes, we can.
Good. Yes. Yeah, great. So let's say this is your website. What this container large does is it is limiting every content inside to 80 rem, which is like 1,200 pixels, give or take. That means as the website is increasing, as it's being viewed on bigger screens, once it gets to 80 rem, it stops for life. No matter how big the screen size is, every content of the website is at 80 rem. If you like, let the screen you are using to view it be as big as this. All it knows is there is a styling, there is a property that is saying the maximum width for everybody is 80 rem. Once it gets to 80 rem maximum, it stops. That is why you see every website having to just be as if it is in the center and not touching the edges. So no matter how big the screen is, for instance, this website again, I shouldn't be using this. Let me find something else and use. Let's say Piggyvest. I don't know why I like Piggyvest, but yeah. Piggyvest, for instance, this is their website. Notice how their website is from here to here. Can you guys see? So no matter how big my screen is, it will not say because your screen is big, let us start from here and let us end here. No. There is a property that has been set. Notice how I'm scrolling. Everything is just limited. Everything is just, at that width, that maximum width. Once it hits that maximum width, it stops there for life. No matter if I let my screen be a very big screen, it never passes this from here to here. So that is the work of what you saw there. Container large, maximum width, 80 rem. See? As you can see. So this is how you start understanding. Because if we say let's go and check, okay, let's go and do inspect, for instance, on Piggyvest. It wasn't built with client first, it was built with something else. But you can just clearly see we have the section class. Look at their own section, header home. That's what they called it. Container flex. So this is their own class container. And if you open inside of their class, container, you see they have section 1. Okay, this is the container flex, and look at the styles. Notice, come and look this downside. You see how .home container, justify center, padding 190, align center. See, can you guys see maximum width 1165? Can you guys see? So this is their container is 1165 pixels, but client first uses 80 rem. So yes, that is it. So every page has that container 1165. That is why no matter how big my screen is, it never goes beyond that. But if it gets smaller, it will get smaller as well. Let us check the mobile of this piggy vest. See how it is. In fact, let's not even do this. Let's check the mobile. Let's do practical. Inspect. Now you see, if I drag from here, see how it is acting responsively, which is very nice. Because a maximum width was set. It can be smaller, but it can get smaller, but once it passes 1165, so let's start increasing. Monitor the number here. This is where you look at the numbers, the size, which is the dimension of your screen size. So this one is mostly for mobile phone. This is how it is on mobile. Most mobile uses 375. So this is my mobile screen and most of your mobile phones. So you see how it is on mobile. And yeah, so if we start to increase now, see how it is also increasing until it gets to 1000. Let's assume our screen is very big, 3000 pixels. See, now look at my very big screen. No matter how big, all the content still is from here to here. That is the work. That's the power of container large, containing everything to a defined width. I know I'm hitting on this thing over and over again so that it will stick in your head. Are you guys following at this point?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Nice one. Now I can come here and change a few things. Let me go to for instance, let me go to the hero section and to the container. I can say, okay, let me see what happens when we change it from 1165. Let's change it to 2000. Change it to 2000. Something weird happened, Sha. I shadow something happened. I'm messing their site up. Let's see, 1000. Why is it maxing out? Oh, I should have done what I'm doing at this point though. Let me try cancel. See how I messed their website up. But it doesn't affect them. If I reload, everything will just go back to normal. So yeah, that is what I want you guys. See this subtle animation, which I like. Very clear. I like things like this. Very straight to the point. You don't have to do too much. So yeah, that is that about that. And I think I've said too much, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys with lots of things. So yeah, that's the work of container large. We have container large doing that for us. If you see how it has been set from the style guide, it says maximum width 80, width 100%, auto. If you open here now, you now see hero grid. We are trying to follow how this simple page is being formed. Hero grid. Inside of hero grid, we now have hero content to the left and hero image to the right. Hero grid is a div block that they called hero grid by themselves, by anybody, by you, by whoever. Hero grid. Just the thing is that try and make the section or the components you are creating, try and make it as reasonable as possible. Let it be relatable to that section. Now, because we are building the hero section, it is called hero section hero. This one is constant, this one is constant, this one is not constant. Now you will name them by yourself. Hero grid because it is the hero section, it is only fair to say hero grid. That means we want to create a grid. A grid, we don't all know what grid is now. Rows and column. Because we want to put two things inside. We want to create a grid. Left hand side is the right top, the text. Right hand side is the image. They wanted to use a grid to do it. They now called it hero_grid. See how it makes sense even to a layman. If a layman look at this thing, they say, okay, he can at least suggest and say, oh, maybe it is the grid on a hero section. Makes sense. See how it makes sense. Don't just go and give it one weird name. You just have to. This is where you have to apply, a little bit of creativity. Now, inside the hero grid, I'm just teaching you guys structure. I'm teaching you guys what structure. Inside the hero grid, it is, look at what they did here. They gave the hero, they just added a property of grid. Grid, not flexbox, but grid. You can edit the grid. Look at how to edit the grid. Look at the left hand side having just the text, and right up. The right hand side having the image. See? Now, if you open inside of the hero grid, we have the hero content. See? Because it is bunch of content, let us call it hero. Because it is particular to the hero section, let us call it hero content. That means the content can be 5 other elements inside or 3, which is correct. So hero content is the best thing to use. Now notice this arrow and how it is just a div block that they call hero content. They also made that hero content a grid. It can be a flex box, it can be anything, but right now they like using grids these days. That's also part of their new way of doing things. They like building with grid. Me, I use flexbox or grid as the case may be. Now, if you now open the hero grid, you now start seeing all what is inside. Hero heading, which is this our heading. Text size medium, which is this paragraph text. Then inside of, they now have to put a div block and give it a margin top before they now put the button inside, because they wanted to they don't want the button to be very close to the text. So in order for them to create a very small space, they now have to put the button inside a div block that they give margin to and all of that before putting the button and all of that. So all these things are inside of hero content. Now, inside of the hero grid, we've talked about the hero content. How about the other side? This image is just an image, hero image, which is just this fine image. So inside of the hero grid, 2 things are happening: hero content and hero grid. Full stop. Otilo. If you preview, you will see we have this fine page that is very responsive. Responsive design. You don't even have to do too much. Once you follow the right structure, once you follow it well, you don't have to do too much with trying to go to the tablet view and touch it like this, trying to go to the desktop mobile view and make it responsive. Once you follow it well, once you do the right thing, your page, they don't burn away, they responsive. By default, you don't have to do too much for responsivity. It is, see how fluid. Imagine doing a design for a client, even to the most smallest of screen, which is 240, which nobody uses 240 as a screen size, but Baba still there responsive. That's the power of knowing what you are doing. So you see, any screen you say you want them in, it day. If you want them for a very big screen, let's say 4K screen, our page day. You don't understand, the page day. But you see lots of spaces because the screen is very big, so yeah. Any question? Because we are almost drawing to a close. This is where I'm going to stop. If you are here and you understand everything I've said now, congratulations again. It's very easy. It's not that it's very simple. I always say it's very simple because it's very simple. But if you can grasp everything I've said at this point, you've done well for yourself. You've done well for yourself. And our next class will be on Friday next week again. This is the hardest part. The hardest part is you going back and not just abandoning everything we've done until on Friday and coming back. People do that thing a lot, man. I don't know why people are, I know people are working and all of that. But let's not do that. You guys can prove me wrong. Don't just abandon everything and come back on Friday because on Friday you'll be like, oh more, you don't forget everything. Oh, hey, what did we do? Hey, I forgot it. That's not how you learn. I can only do so much for you guys. I can only do the barest minimum. I can only try to help you guys start and pick up. But the bulk of the work is in your hand. It's not in my hand. The bulk of the work is you going back, giving yourself to learning. If it's 1 hour every day, what is client first? Their documentation. What is this boy saying? Hey, okay, imagine you breaking down things, coming on Friday and telling me, oh, look at what you did, look at how you understand, all of that stuff, You can imagine. Now, let me say one more thing. In fact, for what we are going to be building, which is this hero section, we don't need all these things about client first. So I am going to delete everything. In fact, I'm going to delete all the whole hero section. Delete this nav bar, nav fix, delete. This is what I'm going to. This is how we are going to start from scratch like this, because what we have here is not what client first is giving us. That one is just their own grammar. So we are going to start from page wrapper and main wrapper. These are the two constants we are going to use, and we are going to start by ourselves. Now, before we start by ourselves, we still have some minutes. We are on here. Let's assume we have deleted their own. We don't need it, and you are on main wrapper. The next thing we want to talk about is customizing the style guide. Because we have our own design here, we have our own way of how the button looks like. We have our own kind of typography or fonts that we are using, the size. We have our own color, which is this color blue. If you scroll, you see we have this color blue, and we have this our font Poppins. Now, client first is not using Poppins. Client first doesn't know how custom your website is. You have to be the one. You have to go to the style guide, and you have to edit or customize the style guide to fit your design. It's very simple. You have to go to the style guide. I'll show you where the style guide is. You have to go there, customize their style guide to fit your design. Now you're going to study your design. What you want to do is to carry, if for starters, or let's say your head was strong, what I normally would do, I'll carry a pen and paper, and I'm going to draft out, H1. H1 is, this is my H1, right? I will look, H1 is what? H1 is 60 pixel. I'm going to write H1 equals to 60 pixel. Now the name of the H1 font is Poppins. I'll say, okay, I'll look, is everything Poppins? All the text, is it Poppins? I'll look at the paragraph text. Yep, it's Poppins. I'll look at all the whole text. Oh, everything is Poppins. You'll be like, okay, thank God. You don't have to worry too much about typography. Everything is Poppins, just different size and different width. So let's go and start customizing our client first. Our style guide, I mean to say. Now I'm going to do that in a bit. So I'm back here, and I'm going to go to home, which is this page. I'm going to come here, and I'm going to come to this draft. So we have just one page, home and draft. This draft is where the style guide is. This draft is where the style guide is. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to open another new world of the style guide. This is their new style guide, version 2.1. See, it's a long list, but do not worry yourself. Do not worry too much. Most of the things here are things that you don't need, or even if you need it, they are already of standard. You can just use without having to do too much. So don't worry, just don't stress too much about it. It's just basic. You know how, if you do Figma already, you already know how to customize a style guide. You already know what style guide is. This is just basic style guides, as easy as ABC. So now what we want to do, let's just do a little bit of formatting of the style guide. Now, everything you need to build this website is here in this style guide. We have the page wrapper. This page wrapper, look at it here, it's nothing, it's just a div block that they call page wrapper, which you've already used, which is the after the body, there is a page wrapper, right? After that page wrapper, there is a main wrapper also, which is still basically nothing. It's just an empty div block. Just for the sake of organization, that is why there is a page wrapper. It's just like say you want to travel. Now let me give you this example. You want to travel on vacation. You being an organized person, you won't just carry your bag or your ecolac or your box and put all the clothes inside, just zip it and move. No, that would be very shabby of you. That doesn't make sense. What you're going to do, you're going to bring in your big, fine ecolac or your box, and you're going to, that is the body in Webflow term, or in websites, Webflow term, that's the body, your big ecolac. Now, that's your big ecolac. You now still have small boxes, hand carry, other boxes that you're going to put in, other small things like cosmetic things, it's going to be in a separate box. Your toothbrush and other stuff is going to be in a separate, smaller box. It just helps with organization. You're going to set your laptop bag is going to have a special place in the big box, So just see it as the big box. Now this page wrapper is just like a box that houses the main wrapper. So this box is another box inside of your body. This main wrapper, it doesn't do anything. It's just a box. It just helps with organization. Now we have container small. So you see that container I was telling you about. I was showing you on Piggyverse website. Container large, container whatever. This one is called container small. Look at the property it has. It's going to limit your website content starting from here to here. If you pay attention well, you will see everything visually. Your eye will open to see everything visually. Pay attention. Container small. This is just the name. This blue thing you are seeing, so is just the name. This is not where the properties are. This is where the actual property is on this thing you are seeing. Don't come and click on these blue things. These are just names of the actual properties. If you ever use container small on your website, it's going to limit all your website content to 48 rem, which will be very tiny. Nobody uses 48. Nobody ever uses container small. I have never used container small in my life. I have never. It's just there for fancy. Container medium, I have never used it. In some cases, but I rarely use it. I only use container large. This one is 80 rem. But if from my design I notice that it is not 80 rem, let's say it is more, or it is less, let's say everything is like this to this, that's like 70 rem. All I'll need to do is I will just come here and say, okay, I think 80 rem is too much. Let me make it 70 rem because of how it is on my design. 70 rem. See, it has shrink a bit like this. So it's going to limit all the content of your website 70 rem. So that's it. Padding global, it's just vibes. You don't have to do too much. The job is done. The styling is there for you already. It's just for you to call it and use it based on the fact that you're building your foundation, no stress. Padding section small, it's still on vibes. It's just adding 3 rem up and down for you. Padding section medium is just on vibes. The job is just to add 5 rem up and down for you. Padding section large, the job is just to add 8 rem up and down for you. Padding up and down, Button group, don't worry too much about this. Now we moved to the heading. There's H1, there's heading style H1, there's H2. Now this is where we're going to have small work to do. Now first things first, the entire of our project is using poppins. Now what do you want to do? You want to go and tell the Oga Patapata body, because most of the properties of our website is coming from the body. There are some things that are universal across every page. For instance, since we know that our entire website uses poppins, both headings and paragraph, you have to go to the boss himself, and say, body, I want to give you one property that you use across every body and every page. Right now, I'm clicking on body, and if you scroll down here to the typography of the body, it is using system UI fonts. I don't know what that means. That's what it's using, system UI fonts, some weird fonts. But we don't want that for ourselves. Now I'm going to say, okay, body, I want to come and style you. I don't want you to use system UI. I want you, because anything you click, if you click on this heading, H1, it is calling from the body and it's still system UI. You don't want system UI. So I have to go to the body. First step, go to body. Second step, go to the style selector. Second step, go to the style selector and come here and say body, all pages. Body, all is simple English. I want to affect all pages. Because if you don't do that, whatever style or property you give will only affect that page. But if you come here and say body, all pages, so whatever property you want to give will affect all the page as far as this project is concerned. I've done that. Now, all those orange, let's do it again. See, all of these guys are orange colors. Orange, 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 orange color. Orange means there is a super authority that it is calling from. Orange means it's not normal. Orange means there is a super authority that this system UI is coming from. So we need to go to that super authority and change it from there. If not, whatever you do to this orange color, it's not affecting everybody. It's only affecting this page. Let me show you an example. If we don't do all pages, we just say, let's click on body and come and change it. The fact that it's orange should tell you something. But if you still want to be stubborn and just say, okay, let's change it from system UI to Valera or Ubuntu, everything is going to change on this page. Every font will change to Ubuntu, but it's only on this page. It will not change in another page. Now, if I click on this class, this structured classes, it has changed to Ubuntu. Every font has changed to Ubuntu, but it doesn't make sense. This is Ubuntu, everything is Ubuntu, but no, it doesn't make sense. Because it's going to create this weird, it's going to add a class name for your body page, and you do not want to add a class name, because if you add a class name, it simply means you are only affecting this page, so let's delete this class. Delete, we don't want that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this blue thing and say, I want to affect all the body, and now you're going to see all those orange has changed to blue, which means yes, you are now affecting all pages. It's now blue. It means you can now edit it, change it to whatever. Now I'm going to click here and I'm going to say, where is Poppins? We don't have it here. I'm going to go to add font. Boom, it's going to open on another page. Font, it's a Google font. I'm just going to click here and type Poppins, and I'll click here and I'm going to add the properties of the fonts, which is there's regular, there's 600, there's 800. I think that's all. I'll click on add fonts and I'll click on that's it basically. So added, they've all been added. Then I'm going to go back to the designer, go back to our designer, but now I have to reload the page. I have to reload the page. Yep, reload the page. Now we're going to have Poppins. Nothing has happened yet though. Nothing has changed. I'll go back to body, come on here, all pages. Now we're going to see Poppins as part of it because I've added it from add fonts. Now I'm going to click on Poppins and the weight will be normal. Understand? That's all I need to do. Now every page, every web page, every font, everything text, anything typography is now Poppins. This guy is Poppins. Everybody's popping. Everybody's chilling. Now let's go back to our typography. We've solved the first issue. The first issue is typography. H1. This is our H1. H1 is 60 pixel. 60 pixel, and the width is 500. So I'm going to go here, H1. This is our heading. This is our H1. Sorry. This is our H1. This is the guy. This guy is a H1. Now I want to go and make it what? 60 pixels. But another thing again, you want all H1 to be 60 pixels. I'm going to click on this heading. I'll still repeat that same thing. Click on this blue thing, and I'll say all H1 headings. You want to affect all H1 headings. I'm going to click it. Now I am free to come and change the weight or the size. Now, speaking of size, Figma is telling us 60 pixels. Webflow is telling us 4 rems. What is 60 pixels? How do you convert 60 pixels to rems? Who has an idea? Anyone? Anyone? How do we convert 60 pixels to 4 rems? Benjamin, you have a word?
Okay, let me try.
Okay. My boss will want to speak, but maybe somebody else try.
Okay. 1 RAM is 16 pixels.
Nice.
Yeah. And 4 RAM is 64 pixels.
Okay, good. So he said 1 rem is 16 pixels, so 4 rem is 64 pixels. It's just easy maths. Now, my boss will want to speak. Michael, if you can do that explanation for us, I'll be very, very grateful. Even though our time has elapsed.
So I think he has actually answered the question. I was actually going to give the shortcut of putting the pixel, then putting the multiplication sign, and of course enter 16 so you can get the calculation also. So I believe you can also take us through that so we can get an easy method of doing it.
Nice one. Okay, no problems. So, but then, there are like different ways to do it. Another way, if you feel you are the calculative one that wants to do maths, you can just do pixels to rem calculator, something like that on Google, and it's going to bring out like a pixels to rem converter. It's all over the place. You can just type in 60. What is 60 pixel? 60 pixel is 3.75 rem. See? Simple maths, I think. Yeah? That's basically it. 60 pixel is 3.75 rem. So you just copy this 3.75 and you go back to your Webflow and say, hey, heading H1, you are not supposed to be 4 rem. You are supposed to be 3.75 rem. See? It's now smaller. Or what you can do, according to Michael, you are going to impute it. Webflow does maths. You are going to see 60 divided by 16. REM. 60 divided by 16. Hit it, enter. It will give you 3.75. The weight is telling us that it is 500 weight. So you come here and say, okay, for the weight. Oh, I've not add 500. Oh, let's use 400. No, what I have here is 600. Let's use 600, sharp. So 600 is any board. Now that is that. About that. 2 things are involved. This can be a little bit tricky. It can be a little bit tricky and a little bit confusing. This is where we are going to stop for today. There is H1 that doesn't have a class name at all. There is this H1 that I just did without a class name because we did not, if we had done anything to this H1 without saying all H1 heading, if we had done anything to it, it's going to help us by default add a class name to it. We don't want that because we want to affect every H1 that we are going to use on this project. Anytime you call H1, what you are calling is 3.75 frame and 600 weights. Anytime you are bringing H1 from the elements, it's going to have this property anytime on any page, everywhere. That is what this means. See, it doesn't have a class. It's just standard because we said, please take this thing seriously or don't take it lightly. Don't overwhelm yourself, but it is. I'm trying to break it down as cheap as possible. Now, 2 versions of H1. Now, we also have another H1 again, or H2. Okay, this will use sense. Okay, this is sample text. You understand how real text may look. This is H2 again. This is H2. Okay, good. Now, this is H1. H1 is H1. Forget about it. We are done with that part of life, because every page needs, every website should have, every web page should have just one H1. Every website should have just one H1. No need to have another variation. Now, H2. This is H2. H2, from H2, you can have two variations of your H2. The one that will not have a class name, and the one that will have a class name. Now, this one, from our design, what is H2? What we're going to find. What, aside from this H1 that we have here, what else is heading? This is heading, and this is going to be our what? Our H2, which is 36 pixels with 500. This one too is still as good as H2, which is 36 pixels. So we have that. This one too is H2. So this one too is H2. So I think basically we are dealing with just H1 and H2. Okay, this one is like H3. Okay, this will be our H3, 24 pixels. So yeah, let's go and sort out the H2. H2 is 36 pixels, right? I'll go back to Webflow and I'll say, okay, H2, because I want to affect every H2. The first variation of H2 is this one. So I'm going to say all H2 headings is what? 36. I'm going to do 36 divided by 16, REM. Enter. It has given me 2.25. Or I'll come here and say 36, 2.25 in rems. Now, for the weights, I'm going to say 600. We don't have 500, not 500. So H2 is settled. We have two types of H2. The one without a class name, which is this one that we just did now, and the second one, it's a H2, but it's having heading style H2. It's having a class. What this means is there are sometimes in your design some text or some headings will look like H2. How do I make it easy now for you guys to understand? Some headings are not H2, but they look like H2. It is making sense to me, but it will not make sense to you guys. Michael, do you have a better breakdown to how to sort this out?
Can you repeat the question?
Like this second variation of H2, like they have the H2, which I've just done without a class, which obviously all H2 headings, and we have the heading style H2 that is emulating H2, but you have the flexibility to customize it how you want. It is H2, but this time around it can be even much bolder. It's still H2, but it's having a class. I don't know how to make it make sense.
Okay. So let me explain. Let me take it from SEO perspective.
Yeah.
So ideally, when you're looking at headings on a website, it is supposed to be, or when you're looking at the standard of any design system, it's supposed to be H1, H2, H3, H1, H5, and so on. But the structure of some websites will skip certain levels. So some websites will be designed with very bold H1, and the next heading you see like H3. That case now they have missed H2. And there is this audit in Webflow that will tell you that maybe you have skipped one heading.
Yeah.
So in that case, you can actually use this to stylize H2 in place of the normal H2 when you're designing. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think it will make sense when we start actual practical stuff.
Yes. So it's just depending on the style of website. But what I usually do is actually just what you're doing. And most times I just like the same as my H2. So when I know that the structure of website is keeping a certain level, in order for me not to have some SEO
issues,
issues, I'll just make sure I use this editing style H2 for my H. Maybe when I have H3 instead of H2 as the next text in the design,
Yeah.
I'll just use this instead of using the normal
Yeah.
H3. But what is important is just for you to use H1 because the H1 is mostly what Google will crawl.
Yeah, the H1 is very important. This
Yes.
H1 is very important. How do you know it's H1? If you click on this icon here, you see it's H1. There's H1 to H6. How do we know this one is H2? If you click, this is the first H2 that we just did without a class. Now this is the second H2. H2, but then with a class name of heading style H2. You can choose to make it. It can be 7 rem, very big. No matter how big, it's just big for nothing. It is still H2. What it means is this H1 senior this H2 with the A. This H1 still has authority over this guy. Forget say big like this. Let's say for instance, your website, this is H1. H1 should be the biggest font heading, or should be the biggest heading in your website. Now let's say along the line of that website, there is now one very big heading. Let's say this guy is now very big. It now come and big past H1 with the year. You cannot come and give this guy authority and say you are H1. The H1 is already here. H1 is already here. One H1 forever. You cannot have two H1s on your web page. It's wrong. No matter how big this guy is, this guy can be H2. This guy can be H2. Now, what if your H2? Let's say, what if this is your H2, for instance, and now this guy too, you want to still make it H2, knowing fully well that your H2 normally from your style guide is not as big as this guy that is just very big. Let's say this very big here. Now this is where that heading style H2 come in. Given that your H2 already have a defined size, but you want to still give this guy a H2 properties, it's now where you will now most likely use this one that is stylized or customized to be 7 rem, very big, So a typical example is, let's go back to our home page. Let me just do a very quick example. Let's say as you're designing your flexing your muscle, for instance, you've used H1. Yeah, look at H1, everybody's chilling. This is heading 1. You've used it and you're happy. In another section, as you're building, you now use H2. You now flex your muscle. Yeah, you've used H2. This is H2. You're chilling. Now let's say you are still building again. You now saw a very big heading on your design. It's still it's still H2. It's still H2. It's still H2, which is this. But our H2 already has a defined size. Now this is where you now say, okay, this is where you now call the stylized one, that is 7 rem, heading style H2. Boom. See how it's now very big. Now it can even be, this can be H4, which is very tiny, or H5, which is very small. But because you give it the properties of H2, it will be very big. From here, by default, for SEO, Google crawler knows this guy to be H5, or this is H5, but it is a H5 having the properties of H2. You cannot say heading style is H5, but the style should be of H2. Boom. It's still very big, just big for nothing. This is big, but everybody knows say guy na H5B, guys 1B. You are still the smallest. This guy H2 still senior you. H3 is still senior. You're just big for nothing. It's kind of tricky, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it when we actually start whatever things we are doing. So we're gonna stop here. We've exceeded 2 hours. It's crazy. I never expected it. So yeah, we're gonna stop here, and the next session is gonna be next week Friday. And I want you guys to be all hands on deck. Please, by next week, this is the part we're going to have problem. The part of you going to learn yourself. that client first documentation. No excuses. You will see people coming with different excuses. I was this one. I can almost bet anything that it will happen. I mean, we're just humans. It's just what we do. We like excusing. We cherish it. We are looking forward to it. It's crazy. We are looking forward to excuse. But that's the hardest part. You guys can just dedicate 1 hour tomorrow, Monday. Then you have Monday, there's Tuesday, there's Wednesday, there's Thursday. You now come on Friday. Oh yeah, what did you do? Oh yeah, Cynthia. Oh yeah, Oyedikachi. Oh yeah, Olatunji. Oh yeah, Benjamin. Akinsoji. What did you do? How far? You start hearing, my work will do this one, my work will do that one. That's the part I'll just say, okay, no problems, let's continue. Trust me, I don't know, people do that thing a lot. Just give yourself to that learning. Just say, nothing is so. You don't have to understand it immediately. Just once you hear it, now today you heard client first. Tomorrow, that word is not new to you. That's how life works. Tomorrow you can easily tell somebody, client first is a style guide, Jerry, even though you don't know what it means. But yesterday, you probably did not know what it means at all. If someone said client first, you'll be like, oh, no, I don't know what it means at all. But that's how life works. Tomorrow, now you've heard client first. Even if it means to just tell somebody, yeah, it's a style guide, I know what it is. That is learning. So if you open the documentation and you start reading it, it's not French, they are speaking English, they are writing it in English. The fact that you are looking at it and it may not make sense immediately, but the next time you are looking at it, it's no longer news, it's no longer new, it's no longer hard. Nothing is hard. If you look at it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it becomes what it is. But if you look at it and say, this thing, excuse, that's how the brain works. The brain will just say, this one never ready to learn, and it shuts down. But if you open it and follow it up, your brain will be active to say, this one wants to learn, sha. Even if it's one thing you pick from client first, understand it, you'll be like, okay, nice one, this is not hard. Just a style guide, just what it is, just to help you build, nothing else. So start looking at it, start digging deep. It's not that deep. Day one, introduction, what it is, what is it, open it, and say, okay, what is the goal of client first? To create an organized system. Here is it what you are afraid of looking. To help me to enable speed and flexibility when using Webflow. Is it what is hard? To define a strategy for my classes. Is it what you are afraid of learning? To standardize a core structure, which is the foundation I've been shouting since. Is it that one that is hard? To create Webflow build that is scalable, that is responsive, and easily manageable. Is it not something to be excited about? This is English language, so it's very easy to help developers, to help me and to help you understand the project. So why should you run away from it? If this is as simple as ABC, they are breaking it down. What does client first mean? Client first means we put our client's interest first in the Webflow build process. I mean, how easy can this thing get? So before you know, as you're going through it, you are enjoying it. It's not that deep. Webflow focus strategies, classes. You understand classes. You're going to understand core structure, which is the foundation I've been shouting. That foundation, typography, how the structure typography, how the structure spacing and folders. That is all. Once you learn these 5 things, you are good. In fact, once you learn these 3 things, in fact, these 2 safe. Let's say these 3 or these 4, or all of them. So yeah, that's all, man. That's just what it is. There's no rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's just what it is. So please, on Friday, we're going to be back. And as I'm creating videos, you can still go check. Another thing you need to do is you can go back to my YouTube channel and I made videos on how to build, Tesla websites with client first, how to do this with client first, from start, how I clone it, how I customize it. I've made videos long ago. So it's also a good place to start to watch before on Friday. As I'm doing it in Webflow, you are also doing it. So if you come here on Friday, it's just vibes. Everybody know what's happening. Before you know, you are strong and you are solid. Be that person that will come here on Friday, you tell me someone, see what you don't do from the video you don't watch you. So that if you come here, life is easy. The video I make 40 minutes video, 50 minutes. So what's 50 minutes? Just even if you don't want to practice, just be watching it like this. If that 40 minutes pass, you understand one or you pick 1 or 2 things. If you are watching it again for the second time, it's no longer new. So, do you have any question at this point? Any question, pointers? How has the class been? So far, so good. Anyone raised up their hands? Please, can we open more than one amplifier? I think yeah, you can. You can open 2. If you are using the free account, you can open 2. You just work on 2 projects. So yeah, Benjamin, what's up? So far, so good. How is it? Okay, see plenty questions. Means Relume. Yeah, Relume is like a UI kit. Yep, that's a good one. Relume is like a UI kit. Yeah, Relume is more like community Figma. Yeah, you can call it that. Then can we say Relume and client first are similar to design system to Figma? Relume and client first. Yeah. Client first is like the strategy. Relume is more like the UI kit. Yes, Relume is like the UI kit, but they use client first to build Relume. All Relume UI kits, all Relume components uses the structure of client first. Client first can be viewed as a framework. Yes, that's another way to look at it. Client first is the framework for your development, and Relume are already built up templates referred to as components. Yeah, good for shortcuts. Nice. Please, can we open more than one file? Let's say you're trying to practice, you can't use more than 2. Yeah, exactly. So you can just have different emails, 2 websites here, 2 here. That's what I was doing when I was learning. I had like 6 emails. I was just doing websites, everywhere, scattering it all over the place. Oh yeah, Femi.
Yeah, Dave, thanks. This has to do with the Figma file. I need some help. I can see the layouts, but I can't see the topography measurements. I don't know if there's something I'm doing wrong.
Okay. You can see the layouts, but you can't see what?
The topography measurements.
Topography, the font?
Yeah, the fonts.
Yeah, if you click, just click like several times, you see it to the right hand side. Weight, the size. Try to click like 3-4 times, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. Nice one.
Or you can activate your.
Okay.
That's it basically. So yeah. Do you have any question at this point? Do you have any questions? So far, so good. Benjamin Osagi, Akinsoji, Tony Daniels, Cynthia, Olatunji, Ayola, Tosin. Tosin, the floor is yours.
No, I don't have any questions for now. I just foresee that as we're learning on our own, I guess a lot of questions will come.
Yep, that's another way to get questions.
Okay. Yeah.
If you have any questions, you want to write it down for Friday. You can have 5 questions to ask, 6, 10. It's nothing wrong with it. That's the only way you learn. If you want to depend on all these things I'm saying, I don't think you will go far. That's the funny truth. That's the hard truth people need to face. If you really want to learn, man, you have to dig deep yourself. This is just a startup. This is just me showing you guys the way, saying how all this thing is easier, giving you guys a mindset. Then you have to dig deep yourself. That's how I got here. I dug deep myself, man. After the whole YouTube, I still went and I was building like a mad person. Different sites, cloning websites up and down. So yeah, that's it, guys. So and you can share your progress as you build along, as you learn anything. That's another way to build credibility. As you build, you can share your process, your progress online. This is what you've learned, this is how you're learning. It's just a way of being accountable to yourself, and it helped me too while I was learning. If I finish even just a section, I'll be so happy. I'll just record my screen, I'll just talk about it on maybe screen grab and say, hey man, so far this is beautiful, this is what I'm learning, client first is this, blah, 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 blah. It helps build credibility and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's also something you need to do, because as you're learning, to be sharing, share your work. As you're building, share your work, you just share. That's the world we are in now. Share your work. That's how you build credibility and evidence too. So that's all for today, guys. If you have any issues, I'm always there at any point. So I'll see you guys on Friday. I'm going to stop recording now, and